The first time anyone really saw her, she was curled up behind the counter of a dimly lit cafe, sleeping on a bed of flattened cardboard boxes with her backpack as a pillow. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound in that little shop on a side street no one cared about. It was midnight, and she thought she was alone. But she wasn't. The man standing in the shadows was used to boardrooms and private jets, not creaky wooden floors. His name was Lucas Grant. To the world, he was the 35-year-old CEO of a global shipping empire. But in that moment, he wasn't a billionaire. He was just a man watching a young woman sleep on the floor of a cafe he secretly owned, his chest tightening because he'd seen poverty before, but not like this. Not someone who smiled at him every morning pouring his coffee like she had the world figured out. Lucas left as quietly as he came, his sneakers silent against the floorboards. He could have woken her, could have told her he knew, but pride was a fragile thing, and she had so little left. Instead, he drove home that night, parked in his driveway, and just sat there, headlights off, staring into nothing, with her face burned into his mind. The cafe was his secret sanctuary, the one place he could just breathe. No cameras, no investors, no headlines. He'd bought it under an alias after a scandal in his company left hundreds of workers jobless. He'd made amends on paper, but not in his heart. This cafe was his way of balancing the scales. He hired people who needed second chances, donated leftover food to shelters, hosted dinners where the homeless ate like royalty with no questions asked. No one knew he was the owner, not the staff, not the customers, and especially not the young waitress named Mara Evans. Mara was 24, though the shadows under her eyes made her look older. She'd been on her own for a long time, bouncing between shelters and couches that weren't really safe. She came into the cafe one freezing afternoon with 3 crumpled dollars and a note from a shelter worker. "Try here, they sometimes hire." She kept her chin high, but her hands trembled as she asked for work. Sam, the manager, Lucas had put in charge, studied her for a moment before asking coffee or a job, Mara whispered. A job. And by the end of that day, she was a waitress. She worked hard, harder than anyone. The regulars liked her shy smile. The other barista, Layla, showed her the ropes. But at night, after everyone left, Mara stayed behind, sweeping floors, wiping tables, and then laying out cardboard behind the counter to sleep. She couldn't risk anyone finding out. This job was all she had, and if they knew she was homeless, they'd lock the doors tighter. Lucas saw her there a second night. He didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there in the dark, feeling something shift inside him. He'd written checks for shelters before funded programs, but seeing her curled up in his cafe, his safe place, made it personal. He wanted to help, but not in a way that stripped her of dignity. The next morning, Lucas sat at his usual corner table, hoodie pulled low, nursing his hazelnut latte. Mara brought it over and gave him a soft smile, completely unaware he was the man signing her paychecks. He didn't say a word about what he'd seen. Instead, he started talking to her. Not prying, not interrogating, just noticing her. "Sit for a minute," he said one day, nodding to the chair across from him. "I shouldn't," she murmured, adjusting her apron. 2 minutes won't kill anyone," he teased softly. She hesitated, then sat down. "Lucas," he introduced himself, holding out his hand. "Mara," she said, shaking it cautiously. "I know," he said with a grin. "You've poured me enough coffee." She raised an eyebrow. "And you drink it too sweet. Guilty." It started with little things, him sliding a second cup of coffee toward her, made exactly how she liked it, though she'd never told him. A muffin he claimed he accidentally ordered extra, an old copy of The Alchemist he thought she'd like. He didn't ask why her hands shook, why she flinched when someone mentioned family, or why her coat looked like it came from a donation bin. He just showed up steady and warm, and for the first time in months, Mara didn't feel invisible. One night, long after closing, Lucas appeared again, hoodie damp from the rain. "You can't be here," Mara said, grabbing a towel to dry the floor near the door. "I brought something." He handed her a brown paper bag. Inside was Thai curry jasmine rice and mango sticky rice. Warm, real food. Mara froze, fingers tightening around the bag. "I don't know what you think you know," she whispered. "I know you're strong," Lucas said softly. "But even strong people deserve dinner." Her throat closed. She turned away so he wouldn't see her tears. "Thank you," she whispered. He smiled gently and left, and that night Mara didn't eat a granola bar on cold cardboard. She sat on the floor with a warm meal and cried, not because she was weak, but because kindness like that felt dangerous. 2 weeks later, Lucas came in with an envelope. "Open it when you're alone," he said, sliding it across the counter. His voice was different, careful, almost trembling. That night, Mara opened it. Inside was a brass key and a note. "Apartment 2C, 148 Willow Street. It's safe, clean, paid for 2 months. No strings. You deserve a bed." Her hands shook. Accepting help meant admitting she needed it. She almost threw it away. But she didn't. That night, she walked into a small apartment that smelled of lavender-stocked fridge towels folded neatly and a single note on the counter. "Welcome home." She stood there for 20 minutes, just staring, then touched everything like it might disappear. She slept in a real bed for the first time in months, and she cried again, but this time from safety. For 2 weeks, Lucas stayed quiet. He didn't mention the apartment. He didn't ask for gratitude. He just kept showing up at the cafe like always. But the mystery of him, it gnawed at Mara. He was too calm, too observant, and one night when the cafe was empty, he finally told her the truth. "I haven't been honest with you," he said, standing by the counter. She froze. "What do you mean?" He slid a business card toward her. "Lucas Grant, CEO, Grant Global Shipping." Mara blinked, then laughed bitterly. "This is a joke." "It's not," he said quietly. Her face went pale. You own this place. You've been watching me this whole time. I saw you that night," Lucas admitted, "sleeping on the floor. I didn't wake you because I didn't want to take your pride from you. I wanted to be your friend first." Mara's eyes filled with tears. "You gave me an apartment, set me up like I'm some charity case. I gave you a key because you were sleeping on the floor of my cafe," he said firmly. "Not because you're a project, because I respect you, and because I fell for you." The words hung in the air like a spark. Mara's chest ached. She turned away, voice breaking. "You should have told me." "I know. I don't need saving. I know that too." She stared at him, torn between fury and something warm she couldn't fight. "Everything's changed," she whispered. "Nothing's changed," he said softly. "Except now you know the truth." She didn't come to work the next day, or the next. She spent 3 days in that apartment, staring out the window, his card in her hand. She whispered his words over and over. "I didn't rescue you. I respected you. I love you." And they terrified her, because they felt real. When she finally walked back into the cafe, Lucas nearly dropped his latte. Mara slid into the seat across from him. "I'm still mad," she said. "You have every right. But I'm not leaving." Hope flickered in his eyes. "I'm not your redemption story," she continued. "I'm not a pity project. I want a partner, not a savior." Lucas nodded. "Then be my partner. Run this place with me. I've seen you hold this cafe together better than I ever could. Help me build it, not as charity, but as equals." Mara stared at him, stunned. Then slowly she smiled. "You're insane. And in love," he said with a grin. 6 months later, the cafe was thriving. There was a community bookshelf by the window, a dream fund jar for staff goals art nights every Friday. Mara's handwriting covered the chalkboard menu. She wasn't sleeping on cardboard anymore. She was building a life. One night after locking up, Lucas took her hand and pulled her into the middle of the cafe. "No music," she teased. "Don't need any," he whispered. They danced slowly right there on the same floor where she'd once hidden. No spotlight, no headlines. Just two people who'd found each other when they weren't looking. Love built, not from rescue, but recognition. And maybe that's what real love is. Not swooping in to save someone, but standing beside them, so they never have to hide again. Tell me if you'd been. Lucas, would you have stayed silent to protect her pride or told the truth right away? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if this story touched you, and share it with someone who could use a little hope tonight.